uh, conveyed to me this session on nanomaterials and nanocomposites, its definition, classification, properties, synthesis, application, future prospects, as well as the career opportunities in the field of nanotechnology. Right. So it was conveyed to me that we are going to have a doubt clearance session and an overview revision of this particular theme, that is nanomaterials and nanocomposites. So based on that, today I'll be presenting you all, and what I would like to request everyone that after the sessions, if you feel like asking any questions, if you want to clarify any of the doubts which you feel like asking related to the particular session, related to your career opportunities, so just feel free to ask. I'll be there to resolve all your queries. So, as it's 6 o'clock already, so I'll be starting the session. So this side, Dr. Ankita. I'm Deputy Director, Junior Scientist and Quality Control Manager at CRIS DNA Labs, Dehradun, and as well as a resource person for Learn to Upgrade, that platform through which we all are connected today. And we'll be talking about the nanomaterials and nanocomposites and its complete classifications, properties, as well as the career perspective in this particular field today. So now allow me to go forward with the session. So, my dear participants, when we talk about this field in nanotechnology, right? So, as the word says itself, the word nano, this nano word itself specifies that there is something which is, which is somewhere connected to something that is a small. Now, when we say that something is a small, that does not means that it is the one we are talking about when we are comparing it with the micro or macro scale, right? So, when we are saying the word nano, so nano means, or nanotechnology means, there's a field of science or engineering where we are basically working and engineering certain materials and devices which are basically, of very small size. And why we are saying that they're of very, very small size, that means they are not categorized in the micro or macro scale, but they are typically between the 1 to 100 nanometers size. Basically, 1 nanometer is 1 billionth of a meter. We measure something in different units like meter, kilometers, right? So here, when we are saying that there is some particle and its size is nano, that means we are measuring that particle on the nano scale of 1 to 100 nanometer. And when we see that this nanometer, 1 nanometer is 1 billionth of a meter. So you can imagine that this is one of the very, very, very small size of any of the particle. Neither micro, neither macro, but nano. And that is why we are measuring all of these particles on the nano scale. So this technology, this nanotechnology, it is basically dealing with all these materials whose size is basically coming on the scale of 1 to 100 nanometers. And, when we talk about the nanoscale, at this size, the materials behave very differently compared to their normal and larger scale forms. Larger scale forms means micro scale or macro scale. So in comparison to the micro or macro scale, the nanoparticles, they behave very differently. And why I'm saying that, this nanotechnology is very special, and why the materials, they behave very differently, because there are so many laws of physics, so many laws of chemistry that work differently on the micro scale, on the macro scale, and the same laws, they work differently when they are applied on the nano scale. So, for example, at the nano scale, for example, we all have, I guess, if you are basically like, may I know that what fields do you all belong to? Like, is it pharma or is it any biosciences field or biotechnology? You can write in the chat box so that I can also know that you're from which field. So can I can connect with your fields also. You can just write in the chat box like what course you are currently pursuing. I'll be waiting for your answers in the chat box. Like B Farm, M Farm, BSc Biotech, MSc Biotech, Life Sciences, M Tech, B Tech. What course you all are pursuing? I can see five participants in the row. Junaid, Usha, Abdullahi, Ganesh. Expecting the answer revert from you all. Okay, Abdullahi, you are from MSc Biotechnology. Okay. Other participants? So hopefully this is the overview session and a doubt session. So I feel like if you all will not be replying or reverting back, so it will be a waste of the session and time. But ultimately I have to continue. So okay. So for one student who has answered well, Abdullahi from MSc Biotechnology. So definitely when you have opted this field, we all are from, I guess, from the science background. We have studied physics later, earlier in our schools also. And the certain laws, basic laws we have also studied in our school time also, learning chemistry and physics. So when I talk about one very important law, right, that is quantum mechanics, right? And why I'm talking specifically as example about quantum mechanics, see, there are laws of quantum mechanics, and quantum mechanics is one of the very important branch of physics that explains like how the matter and energy they behave, extremely on the extremely small scales, like atoms, electrons, protons, and photons. So in general, the classical physics, it works well for the large objects like your cars or planets or human beings. But when we go at the atomic level particles, they behave in very unusual ways than the classical laws cannot fully explain, right? So the quantum mechanics in the physics, it is basically dealing with like how our matter and the energy is behaving at a small scale. When we go to the atomic scales or the electron or proton or photons, that atomic scale level, right? So in quantum mechanics, the tiny particles, they do not behave like solid ones, but they can show different natures. They can be having a particle nature, they can be having a wave nature, that is known as a wave particle duality. So to understand a bit of quantum mechanics, you should be knowing so much of things, because nanotechnology is not only a field where you are making nanoparticles and studying it for, any medicational field or for the diagnostics or therapeutics, but actually it is inclusion of biology, physics, chemistry, right? And then only you can be a very successful person in this specific field, because you have to integrate so many, knowledge of different fields in this particular field. So that's how the quantum mechanics works with a wave particle duality, right? So just like lights also, it can behave like a light also, a wave also, and it can also behave like a particle also. So likewise, many other principles are there, like uncertainty principles are there, quantum superpositions are there, right? So our quantum mechanics is explaining the structure of the atom, chemical bonding, behavior of the electrons, right? And based on that only, your MRI machines or your semiconductors or in your nuclear reactions, they work, right? So if the quantum mechanics is not there, your computers, your mobile phones, your LEDs, your modern electronics, they could not exist, right? So that is why, and even your quantum mechanics is studied in biology and medicine, like photosynthesis, DNA mutations, drug designings, protein interactions. Based on that only, we have the instrumentations like electron microscopy, PCR, nanomedicine researches, and all, right? So uh, so when I am saying that this particular field is totally applicable on the nano scale, and why this nanotechnology field is very special, what makes nanotechnology very special, because at the nano scale, the rules of your quantum mechanics and surface interaction, they dominate. Because of this, many different properties of the nanoparticles can be seen, like, it can be very strengthful, it can even enhance the chemical reactivity. Some of the nanoparticles, they exhibit the unique electrical and optical behaviors also, right? So because of the quantum mechanics, the nanoparticles behave differently on the nanoscale, right? So that is why they are applied in the fields of medicine, electronics, as well as in the fields of biotechnology, right? So that is the basic intro to the nanotechnology. Now, coming again to the nanoparticles, so definitely all the nanoparticles, they come in the category of nanotechnology, where we used to deal with these nanoparticles or nanomaterials for different applications in different fields. And if you want to define these nanomaterials or particles, these materials are again the particles or materials which have the least one dimension in nanoscale. And because of that, they can have the high surface area to volume ratio. And as per the quantum mechanics rule, they have the enhanced optical, electrical, thermal, and mechanical properties as well. Now, coming to the most important part, that is your, classification of the nanoparticles or the nanomaterials. So when we classify these nanomaterials or your nanoparticles, there are different kinds of nanoparticles or nanomaterials, right? Because your nanomaterials can range from, they can be of 1 nanometer, they can be of 2 nanometer, they can be of 3 nanometers, they can be of 100 nanometers as well. So nanomaterials have at least one dimension between 1 to 100 nanometer, right? So based on their dimensions, they are classified, even not only dimensions, but even based on their composition and their origin, the nanomaterials are classified, right? And your classification is, for example, if we are talking about the classification that is based on dimensions, so there are so many nanoparticles which are having the zero dimensional, right? Like all three dimensions are in nanoscale, that we call as zero dimension or 0D. Like your quantum dots are there, or your nanoparticles there, which provide the unique optical and electrical properties, right? Which we use in drug delivery systems, biosensors, imaging systems. Even one dimensional 1D nanomaterials are also there. right? Like one dimension is outside the nanoscale while two remain the nano sized. So it's like, nanotubes are there and your nanowires are there, nanorods are there. All are used in conductors, electronics, sensors. Then 2D nanomaterials are there, like graphene, nanofilms, right? 3D nanomaterials are also there, which are nano composites, nanocrystalline materials, right? So even based on the composition, the nanomaterials are differing. For example, the carbon based nanomaterials are there. So when we talk about this carbon based nanomaterials, for example, graphene is example of carbon based nanomaterial. Your fullerenes, it is also example of your carbon based nanomaterial. Carbon nanotubes are there, right? So they are, if you talk about the properties of the carbon based nanomaterials, because of their composition, they're very strong, they are highly conductive, and they're very lightweighted, right? And when we talk about the metal based nanomaterials, the metal and metal oxide nanoparticles, so these particular metal or metal oxide nanoparticles, for example, gold nanoparticles, you must have heard about, silver nanoparticles, zinc oxide nanoparticles are there, right? So these nanoparticles are the metal and metal oxide. They come under the category of metal and metal oxide nanoparticles. So they have the use in diagnostics, right? Antimicrobial coatings, cancer therapies, they have the role, right? Then polymeric nanomaterials are also available, right? And like some can be natural, some can be, natural nanomaterials, some can be incidental nanomaterials, some can be engineered nanomaterials, right? Then again, composite nanomaterials can be there, like which are, combination with some other types of nanomaterials, like combined nanoparticles are there. So there is, there is a huge classification of nanomaterial based on their composition, based on their dimensions. And even the classification is also based on the origin of the nanoparticles. When we talk about the origin of nanomaterial, like for example, some of the nanomaterials, they are, um basically they're found naturally in the nature or the environment, right? So some nanoparticles, they're coming from the volcanic ash, or some of the nanoparticles, they are maybe smoke particles. Even your viruses, they're also your nanoparticles, nanomaterials only, right? Because you cannot see the viruses with the naked eyes, you need the proper electron microscope to completely study the viruses. So even a normal microscope cannot be utilized for the visualization of the viruses. So they also come under the nanomaterial, natural nanomaterials, right? And some nanomaterials, uh, are exhausted out, or they're produced unintentionally, like a vehicle is exhausting some particles, or the industrial smoke. So some of the industrial smokes, they're that much nanoscale that you cannot see them, but they are out in the environment and they can harm us equally. And then some of the nanoparticles, we engineer it, like artificial manufacturing is done, like quantum dots are there, or lipid nanoparticles are there. Lipid nanoparticles are also utilized in many vaccines, right? Nanotubes are also there. So based on the origin, composition, or the nature of origin, the nanoparticles are, or materials are divided. So whenever we do integrate this field with the research, we first of all select that which kind of nanomaterial will be suitable for the study. Either you're going for the drug delivery systems in the pharma, you're going for the diagnostics purpose, you're going for the imaging systems, or maybe you're going for the biosensor or nano biosensor developments, right? Maybe you're like for nanomedicines, molecular biology, biotechnology. In whatever field you are going to apply for it, you have to decide that which kind of nanomaterial will be suitable for me, right? Then when we talk about the properties of nanomaterial, so as I said earlier, that nanoparticles behave differently. So the quantum mechanics is applied there, and because of that, nanomaterials behave differently on the nanoscale. Right? So when we talk about the properties of the nanomaterials, they show unique physical, chemical, electrical, optical, and biological properties. Why? Because they're extremely small sized, 1 to 100 nanometer of dimensions, and they have large surface area. And you know why? Like why I'm saying that if I'm saying that there is a small size, then why we are saying that there is large surface area. So this state, because definitely for us, for if I say in a very layman language, that if something is small, so how can the surface area be large? Anything is small, how the surface area can be large? So when we say nanomaterials are very small, and we also are saying that they have large surface area to volume ratio, that means as particle becomes smaller, more atoms are exposed on the surface compared to inside the material. For example, there is a big cube of sugar, chini, sugar. We all have sugar, right? So, for example, there is a cube of sugar. One is sugar is there that we use daily, and there are cubes of sugar also which come in the market. So for example, there's a cube of sugar. If you will break that cube of sugar into many tiny sugar particles, for example, if you grind the sugar particles, so the total amount of sugar remains same, but the exposed surface on every particle will increase greatly, because now the more atoms are exposed on the surface, so more surface becomes available to interact with the surroundings, right? So that means if there is one big cube or square, it will have less outer surface and more atoms inside. The tiny cubes or the tiny nano-sized cube, they will be having a huge total surface area, more atoms on the outer surface in comparison to the inner surface, because now they have been concised to a nanoscale. They have been made small. So the inside atoms which were there earlier, now they're exposed to the surface. So because of that, even though every particle is tiny or small or nano, together they expose much more surface, right? So that is why the statement that I'm making or we make in science, that our particular particle becomes smaller, so more atoms are exposed on the surface compared to the inside the material, right? That means here this law is followed. That is why the normal materials, most atoms are inside the material, and in the nanomaterials, there is large percentage of atoms which are on the surface. And this is why they become more reactive, they become a good or better catalyst, even faster in the chemical reactions also, right? So that is why it is important. And when the surface area is increasing, so this large surface area is helping out for the drug deliveries, for the biosensors, for the catalysis, for the nanodiagnostics, right? So that is why a tiny gold nanoparticle will react more efficiently in comparison to the bulk gold, right? So that is why we are saying that the particles behave differently on the nanoscale, and quantum mechanics is definitely applied there. And when a material gets a smaller in size, technically the surface area increases because atoms get exposed on the surface now, right? Now, so that is why we state it as like surface area to volume ratio is increasing. That means volume decreases faster than surface area when size becomes very small. So surface area equals to volume will be increasing as size decreases. That you have to understand. So in a single statement, we can say that Nanomaterials or nanoparticles are tiny or nanoscale individually, but because there are so many tiny particles with exposed outer atoms, the total available surface becomes very large relative to their volumes, right? And because of that, the properties of the nanomaterials are attractive and highly utilized in the science today. Fine. So that is why when we talk about its properties, we can say that our nanomaterials, they have the mechanical strength and hardness. They show good mechanical strength. The nanomaterials, they can be stronger, they can be harder, they can be more flexible. Like carbon nanotubes are there, they're extremely strong, and at the same time they are very lightweighted, and that is the reason these carbon nanotubes are used in aerospace or the sports equipments, even in the biomedical implants also. In the same manner, the conductivity is also affected, right? So conductivity is again the property of the nanomaterials, the electrical conductivity. That means when we are utilizing this particular properties of the nanomaterials in the electrical field, the nanoparticles, they have the better conductivity, and because of this they are being utilized in the fields of the electronics. And in the same way, these nanomaterials, they have the good optical and magnetic properties also, right? And many nanoparticles, they show special magnetic behavior like super paramagnetism in iron oxide nanoparticles is one of the best example, and that is why it can be used in the MRI contrast agents for the targeted drug deliveries. And for the if you see the optical properties example, nanomaterials, they interact very strongly with the light, and because of that, they have the enhanced fluorescence. Even the color changes with the particle size, and surface plasmon resonance is there. Now one term, because it has came here, I have just talked about it, the surface plasmon resonance. So this is again one of the very important property of the nanomaterials. In optical phenomena, the SPR or the surface plasmon resonance, it is a phenomena which occurs when light interacts with metal nanoparticles. So whenever a light is interacting with a metal particles, and the particles which are on the nanoscale. So when light is interacting with the metal nanoparticles, what it does, it causes the electrons on the surface to oscillate collectively. So they start oscillating, collectively together. And just like a pendulum, from through and fro, like this. So the electrons, they start oscillating collectively. And in gold and silver nanoparticles, it's very common. So what happens here? Because metal contains the metals, all the metals, they contain the free electrons. So whenever the light strikes the surface of the metal nanoparticle, what will happen? The free electrons, they will start vibrating together. This collective oscillation is called as surface plasmon. So because of the surface plasmon, the vibration frequency matches the light frequency and the resonance occur. And then we call it as surface plasmon resonance. And it happens more in nanoparticles, because in nano-sized metals, there is large surface area. That reason we know we have, because we have discussed earlier. So they have the large surface area, and yes, because atoms or electrons are close to the surface, and that is why they have providing the large surface area. So light interacts strongly with the surface electrons, and therefore the nanoparticles, they show the strong surface plasmon resonance effects. And because of the SPR, because of the surface plasmon resonance, they they give the unique colors in the nanoparticles. That is why the bulk gold, the gold jewelries we wear, it appears as yellow in color. But the gold nanoparticles may also appear red. They can also be seen as purple. They can also be seen as blue. based on their particle size, based on their shape, and the surrounding medium, right? So the principle in the optical science for the nanomaterials is there that whenever the light will fall on the metal nanoparticle, the surface electrons will oscillate and the resonance condition will develop, and there will be strong absorption and scattering of light in the environment. And that is why there is that the application is there in the biosensors fields or the cancer detections, imaging tumors, MRIs, drug deliveries, environmental sensors and all. And uh, taking example of this, this optical and this properties of the nanoparticles earlier, people used these nanoparticles to the to as a color, like what happened earlier in the times, like even before your modern nanotechnology was scientifically understood. So people unknowingly use nanoparticles to color the glass and the ceramics. So in the Roman and medieval time, the artist was there. So these artisans, they added tiny metal particles like gold, silver, copper into a molten glass, and then these nanoparticles, they produce the brilliant colors because of again the surface plasma and resonance, because they were interacting with the light with nanoparticles, right? So they could use the make the color like red, yellow, green, and red. So the color change because nanoparticles absorb and scatter light differently than the bulk materials. So that is why if you will see the earlier fourth centuries, different types of designer Roman drawings, artifacts, cups, and all. They they look colorful. There was nothing like color, but they use the particles only, right? So like green, they will be reflected green in the reflected light. Some of the particles will reflect at red in transmitted lights, right? Because it happens because the glass contains tiny gold and silver nanoparticles. So then scientists studied all of this, that how this color is being reflected. This is only the metal from which everything has been made, but why the color is being seen? There is no addition of any dyes or colors. Then they got to know, they found out that this was due to the nanoscale optical effect. So that is why in the medieval and Roman times, they used to do. They did not know the quantum physics or nanotechnology, but yes, they mastered the practical technique through the experience only. But modern science explains these colors, like using the quantum effect or surface plasma and resonance and light scattering by nanoparticles. So this is one reason nanotechnology is sometimes called an ancient practice with modern scientific understanding. So, likewise, nanomaterials have again different chemical reactivity and catalytic behaviors they have. The nanoparticle exhibit, the chemical reactivity and great catalytic activity as well, right? Again, being on the, positive side of being very small, they have good thermal properties. They can do the good heat transfer changes at nanoscale, and nanomaterials, they can be very active, highly reactive, because many atoms are present on the surface, so they give a better catalytic efficiencies also with the rapid chemical interactions. That is why we can use the nanoparticles for the water purifications, pollution controls, as a catalyst also. So that is why these are the important properties of the nanomaterials. And yes, nanomaterials are very, very important for the current science era, right? So I'll move further, but I would like to know that you have understood this part since I started. If there is any query related to anything till now, you can please ask the questions. Please let me know that it is clear, or you have any doubts. I'll clear your doubts as well. My dear participants, is it clear to you all? Okay. So now let's talk about the synthesis method, right? Now, when we talk about the synthesis and why we're talking about the synthesis, because the nanomaterial are being produced so that we can control the size, we can control the shape, and we can control the properties of the nanomaterials, right? It's not like that we can just do anything with the nanoparticles. If you want to utilize it, if you want to apply it in the scientific fields, either in diagnostics or therapeutics or pharma fields, you need to control the size, you need to control the matter. So the nanomaterial synthesis means, we are processing of it's like a process of producing the nanoparticles or nanostructures with controlled size, shapes, and properties. So technically, there are multiple methods which are like classified. For example, this is one method that is known as the top-down approach. Top-down approach means the large materials, they are broken down, and they're broken down into the nano-sized particles, like cutting a big object into tiny pieces, chopping off the object into tiny pieces. So in the top-down approach, we can do the milling, right, or lithographies. In mechanical milling, the bulk materials are crushed using balls in a rotating chambers, and it produces nanoparticles by repeated grinding, just like you use the mixture, yeah, mechanical mixture for chopping off maybe many things, right? So grinder mixture we use. So in the same way, bulk materials are crushed using balls in a rotating chamber, and it produces nanomaterials by doing this grinding part. So for metal nanoparticles or ceramic nanoparticles, we used to do. The second type is lithography. In lithography, we used, it is basically used in nanoelectronics and chip manufacturing, like photolithography or electronic beam lithography. So for microchips making sensors, nano devices, we use this lithographies, right? So it's like a simple industrial production and large quantity synthesis there. Sometimes surface defects may be there, or maybe less control can be there on the particle size. Otherwise, these two techniques are utilized. Then the second method is known as the bottom up approach. One is top down approach, right? Then it is bottom up approach. Top down means coming from top to down. From the measure scale or macro scale, you are coming on the nano scale. That is the top down approach. In your this bottom up approach, nanoparticles are built like they're built atom by atom or molecule by molecule. So this mimics the natural molecular assembly. So here you are making the nanoparticles atom by atom or molecule by molecule. Like we use multiple methods here, like chemical depositions or sol gel method is there, chemical deposition, or you can call it even chemical reduction methods, like where the metal salts or they're reduced to form nanoparticles, like gold chloride can be reduced to form the gold nanoparticle. Or in sol gel method, there is a liquid solution, it is converted into a gel, and finally nanoparticles like oxide nanoparticles or ceramic materials. CVD methods are there, chemical vapor deposition methods are there. Like here, the gas molecules deposit thin nano layers onto the surfaces, like carbon nanotubes, thin films, graphene. Even biological or green synthesis is also there. We can synthesize the nanomaterials by plants, from bacteria, from fungus, from algae to produce the nanoparticles naturally. And yes, they are eco-friendly, less toxic, and cost-effective as well, right? So these are the different methods for the synthesis of the nanoparticles. Now, moving to the next. Yeah. Then one more term comes here that is known as the nano composites. Nano composites are basically the composite materials in which one of the component has nanoscale dimension, like 1 to 100 nanometer, which are based, and then they are made by combining some, matrix material like ceramics or polymer or metals or nanoparticles or nanofillers to basically improve the mechanical or electrical, thermal, biological properties. So the nano composite has basically, two main parts. One is matrix, the main continuous materials, like you can have any polymer or metal or ceramic, and then will be a nanofiller. So the nanofiller will be basically the nano-sized reinforcing material which is added to improve the properties like graphene or silica, clay nanoparticles, carbon nanotubes, right? So we make it by composition, combining, like your polymer nano composites are there. That means polymer plus nanoparticles, which are very lightweighted, flexible, strong, right? And the metal matrix nano composites are there. Ceramic nano composites are there. Like ceramic plus nanoparticles are made, right? So uh, even in, your polymer plus silver nanoparticles are used in certain wound dressing, certain antimicrobial activities also. Hydroxyapatite nanocomposites are there, which is used in bone regenerations, right? So in aerospace, sports, food, electronics, water purification membranes, this particular nanocomposites are utilized. Then, when we talk about the types of nanocomposites, so when we talk about the types of nanocomposites, again we have discussed it like polymer matrix, metal matrix, nano, like ceramic matrix, and all. These are different types of nanomatrix, right? Coming to the application parts of the nanomaterials, very important. See, ethical issues somewhere remain the same, but we cannot deny the applications of nanomaterials. We have, the applications in drug delivery systems, cancer therapies and diagnostics, water purifications, sensors and smart electronics, tissue engineering like bone regeneration, artificial tissues, wound healings, or applications even in the field of energy, like, work to improve the efficacy of solar cells, batteries, fuel cells, or supercapacitors. Then environmental application, if you see pollution controls, industrial applications, magnetic applications, aerospace, automobile, food, molecular biology, and diagnostics. So we have range of fields where materials are used, right? And because they're nanoscale properties, they provide the improved efficiency, sensitivity, strength, and functionality. So we are able to use such nanocomposites and nanomaterials in the applied field. And the same with the nanocomposites, the combined system, they are used in packaging materials, bone implants, biomedical devices, energy storage systems, and all. So yes, they have them. Yeah. So we have already talked about the advantages of the this one. So, high durability and strength, enhance efficiency and performance, reduce material consumptions, versatile industrial applications. These are all the advantages. And yes, talking about the challenges and the risk, you know, uh, there is the toxicity and environmental concern, and high production cost, safety and regulatory issues, difficult large scale manufacturing. These are some of the challenges and risks in the field. So we have so much of future prospect. Smart nanomaterials and nanorobotics can be there. Advanced healthcare and targeted therapies can be there. Sustainable nanotechnology can be there. And your AI integrated and nano devices can be made as per future requirements. So that is basically the future prospects of the nanotechnology, right? So up to this, that everything is clear to you all. Any queries from this part? I'll then move for the uh, career sessions, like how we can use this particular field in different, career as a career opportunity. But first, let me know that uh, any queries are there. when we talk about the career options in nanotechnology as per Indian global opportunities, see, the first statement I said is, nanotechnology is an integrated approach. You need to learn physics, you need to know chemistry, you need to know bio also, right? Because you can see that how in different fields it is being applied, how you are utilizing your current knowledge in this particular field so that you can work on it is the most important key. So nanotechnology is, multidisciplinary field. It involves physics and it involves chemistry, it involves biotechnology, material science, electronics, engineering. So definitely it is offering the wide career opportunities in the research, academics, healthcare, semiconductors, nanomedicine, energy, environmental science, and advanced manufacturing. So if you talk about the major career roles, the nanotechnology research scientist, nanomaterial scientist, nanobiotechnologist, you can be a nanoelectronics engineer, quality control, analytical scientist, academicians, professor, product development scientist, patent analyst, and scientific writer you can become. If you are going for the industries which basically hire the nanotechnology professionals, you can go for the healthcare and pharmaceuticals, semiconductor industry, biotechnology, environmental science, energy sector, agriculture, textile industry, defense, aerospace, top Indian companies like Reliance Industry, Larsen and Toubro are there, Tata Steels are there. They hire the nanotechnologist. Biocon hires the nanotechnologist. Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy, BL, TCS Research, Thermax, Asian Paints, right? Or your top Indian government labs are there, research institutes are there like CSIR, NPL, CSIR, CSIO, DRDO, ISRO is there, or your Bhabha Atomic Research Center, BARC is there, or your Mohali, INST Mohali is there, GNCSR is there, Sense Bangalore is there. Even your academic institutes are there, which have some, some research-based projects. They are also, they recruit the research assistants and project assistant in certain works like IIT Delhi, IIT Bombay, IIT Madras is there, IIT Roorkee is there, Indian Institute of Science is there, VIT is there, SRMIST is there, Amit Institute of Nanotechnology is there, right? If you talk about the global companies and the organizations, Intel is there, IBM Research, Samsung Electronics, Applied Materials, BSF, 3M, Oxford Instruments is there, Thermo Fisher Scientific is there. Skills required, definitely should be knowing the nanoparticle synthesis, you should be knowing the SEMTEM, AFM, scanning electron microscopy, you should be knowing, right? TEM is important, and atomic fluorescence microscopy you should be knowing, XRD you should be knowing, Gita potential. Not even, see, these are very sophisticated instrumentations costing more than even 1 crores majority of instrumentation. So does not means that you will get as a fresher handling to everything, but at least you should be knowing the principles and technique behind it, right? But some of the key skills you will be requiring at the earlier stage, and some of the skills you will be learning when you will be, uh, going forward with the particular fields, right? So spectroscopy techniques or nano composite fabrications, drug delivery systems are there. Scientific writing you should be knowing, research publications. These are some of the key, skills which will make you, a worthy fresher or a skilled fresher to apply in such fields. And we have so much of future scope. Nano drug deliveries are the scope, cancer nanotheranostics are there, nano biosensors are there, quantum nanotechnology, smart nano composites, even green nanotechnology is on the boom. We need environmental biotechnologists to work on the nano scale, to find certain options and opportunities to clean our environment, either it's water, either it's soil, either it's, air. So we need all of these ones. And talking about those paying scale in India, entry level 4 to 8 LPA is there for a person who is in this nano field. Research scientist can be getting up to 8 to 18 LPA per year based on the degree, based on the experience, based on the knowledge. If you're in the industrial R&D, you can earn up to 10 to 25 LPA. right? And global nanotech roles, if you see, are like from $60,000 to $150,000 annually. You can earn with this field if you have that kind of knowledge, if you have that kind of skill. So that is very important, that you have to be very confined to your goals, that what you want to do in the you know particular field. So if you have the interest, you have to build the interest from the very beginning, and then you have to move forward with the goals ahead. But if you don't know that what is this field, how you can be applying it, then it is waste of time. But if you know, or if you have some experience, you can meet the people, you can connect with them on the LinkedIn's, you can connect with them in your universities, you can connect with them on different platforms, you can Google certain companies which are hiring are open for such positions. You can search for the institutes which are offering such types of options also for the learnings, and accordingly you can move ahead for a good career in this specific field, right? And I guess this one question is, Amity Jaipur good for bachelor? See, in Amity Jaipur is a good university, right? They have plenty of courses starting from BTech. They have BSc Biotech, Micro Forensics, BCA, BB, everything, BL, BB, BBLLB. Plenty of courses are there, right? And they have good infrastructure, large infrastructure is there. They have good hostel facilities. They have labs. They give industry exposure also, right? And people come from different crowds from different states there, right? And see, I cannot directly state that this university is best or that university is best. I can say Amity Jaipur is, yes, it's a good university, but you know, if I cannot be like with one university, there are so many universities all across India. Amity is there, then Chandigarh group of colleges and universities are there. Then we have certain central universities are there, state universities are there, multiple private universities are there, right? VIT is there, Amrita School of Biotechnology, Institute of Biotechnology is there, then local university is there, and then XYZ universities are there all over India, right? Every university has a great infrastructure, high class, presentation of the labs, the classrooms. They have good computer sciences labs, libraries are there, eminent faculties are there, knowledgeable faculties are there. But it's totally, every university says that we are good. No university will say that we are doing bad or we don't have the placement option. When it comes to the admission, every university has the same thing, that we provide this, we provide that, and they want the students, they want the best admissions, right? So I cannot state, or I cannot be particular about every university in this India that I would suggest that go for it. But if I say about Amity Jaipur, Amity has good name, and even Amity Delhi, Amity Noida, Amity Institute of Virology, Amity Institute of Nanotechnology. I have seen the students coming even from the bachelor level, they are doing great, right? Like they have this temperament, scientific temperament developed. I can see those students in that way. So yes, it is good, but yes, if you're going to take admissions or if you're going to pursue further educations, do a good research, to find, talk to the faculties, go to the university, see the labs, visit the labs first, how the study the protocols are run, how practicals are performed. So in what kind of courses are there, how they are aligned with the new education policy NAP, how they are following the UGC guidelines, what is the course curriculum and all. So you can do a little research for seeking admissions in this particular field, right? So every student needs to do good research before joining any university or college, because once you are there, and if it's not the one you feel like going forward with, so it's like waste of money, waste of time, and waste of energy as well. right? Okay, Abdullah, you have one question that how these nanoparticles can be used in, drug delivery. See, it's a very nice question. See, in the field of, drug delivery systems, many other methods are there for the drug deliveries. For the in if we talk specifically about the nanoparticles, we use the nanoparticles as the carriers, like transporters, right? Directly to the specific cells or tissues in the body. Right, that is the part of nanomedicine and drug delivery systems. So normally, what happens whenever we take them any kind of medication or whenever we take any kinds of drugs, what happens? Drug is distributed or it is spread to the body, right? The receptors are there, the based on that the drugs are being carried to the body, right? And sometimes what happens in journal, like for example, if we take example of chemotherapy, whenever any cancer patient gets the chemotherapy, the patient is not suffering or dying mostly with the cancer, but rather than that, the person is mostly suffering with the chemo, because chemo can be having multiple side effects. It affects and it works on the healthy tissues also. That is why the person loses the hair and lots of blisters are there, and multiple cases of organ failures are there, because the drugs can be cardiotoxic, the drugs can be nephrotoxic, the chemo drugs can be nephrotoxic, neurotoxic, it can be, right? So this can affect the healthy tissues also. And for that instant, nanoparticles are suggested to be the one, because we are focusing that this particular nanoparticle will carry the drug to the site only. It will not affect the otherwise local tissues or cells. So what we do, like how we work on the drug delivery systems is, we attach that particular drug, whatever amount or mg you want to provide to the patient. That particular drug is enclosed inside a capsule, like of a nanoparticle, that is known as encapsulation, or it is basically attached or enclosed. It can be enclosed, it can be attached, right? Maybe you want to attach on the surface, you can go for the surface attachment, or through any chemical binding, you can make it the particular drug with the nanoparticle, or you can encapsulate it under a capsule. Once the drug loading is done, now it is released. For example, maybe it is injected, or you are swallowing it, oral route or IV route, whatever route is being given. Now, no nanoparticle will travel through the bloodstream, then it will move forward to the lymphatic system. And these, because they are very tiny, these are nano sized particles, so they will, move easily. Once they are reached there, these nanoparticles are designed in a way that they will target the specific molecules. Maybe that means they can target the antibodies, they can target the, for example, they can target the peptides, they can target the ligands. So they are programmed in a way, they are designed in a way that they will recognize the specific disease cell. For example, if any specific receptors are there, right? For example, AC receptors are there, or maybe there are any specific gene target receptors are there, maybe cancer cell receptors are there. So they will recognize that a specific disease cell, right? And then once they have recognized the disease cell and the particle has reached there, now the drug will be released. The encapsulation will be opened, or the chemical binding will be broken down on the time. So slowly over time, or at a specific site, the drug will be released by maybe changing the temperature, by maybe because of the enzymes, or maybe because of any specific field, right? So once it is released on the site, it will go and it will cure that particular disease. So multiple kinds of options are again there. We can do the active targeting, we can do the passive targeting, right? So likewise, your these nanoparticles can be utilized in the drug delivery systems. So it can have a target specific action, and for a better stability of the drug, this can be utilized, right? So like for example, lipid nano particles were there, like in some of the modern vaccines they're carrying the mRNA. So this example, why I'm giving you the example of these lipid nanoparticles, because if you talk about one of the major vaccine which was there, which saved many lives, and even lots of contradictions and diplomacies there with the COVID vaccinations. So lipid nanoparticles, LNP, they played a major role in some COVID-19 vaccines, especially in the mRNA vaccines, because they acted as a tiny protective carriers that safely delivered the mRNA into human cells, right? Because the mRNA is very fragile. So if you will inject it alone, it will get destroyed quickly by the enzymes and it cannot easily enter the cell. So lipid nanoparticles solve the problem. And these particles, these are basically tiny spherical particles made up of lipids, like fat-like molecules. So they surround and protect mRNA like a protective bubble, right? So in even COVID-19 vaccines, they worked, and in other vaccines also, like vaccination systems, they also use a lipid nano particle delivery systems, right? So yes, these options are there for the drug delivery systems. Okay, Abdullah, is it clear to you? The answer is clear to you? Okay. Okay, one more question is there. If one wants to get into drug discovery and designing, what skill and degrees are we required with? Kushi, what course you are pursuing currently? Can I know? Like what course you are pursuing? Okay, you have just completed your 12th. See, okay, so that means you're very naive to this field and you have better opportunities also upcoming. If you want to get into the drug discovery and designing field, you can opt for the B Pharm, Bachelor of Pharmacy, because bachelor of pharmacy will give you the best options for pharmacology, because this is the how this B Pharma field works. It's best for the pharmacology, best for the drug formulations, pharmaceutical industries, right? And then even you can pursue the BTech Biotech or BSc Biotechnology, because if you want to go into the pharmacogenetics field or recombinant therapeutics field or biopharmaceuticals, you can go for the BTech Biotech. It's an engineering degree, or you can go for the plain BSc Biotech also, right? Or you can go also in the BSc Chemistry, plain with the chemistry or medicinal chemistry field, or the BTech Bioinformatics or computational biology. But yes, I think for the core of pharma, you should opt for the B Farm if you have the interest in drug discovery and designing, because this B Farm and M Pharma, pursuing the bachelor's and then master's in the M Farm, you will be getting the best exposure to pharmacology, drug formulations, the pharmaceutical industries. You'll be having so many options in the pharma R&D sectors, right? And in M Pharma, when you will pursue this M Pharma, you can have the even you can pursue your like master's degree in the specific particular field, if you are interested in the nanotechnology field. So for the master's degree in nanotechnology, you can go with the flow also. Even you can do the MTech in nanotechnology also. If you have done the BTech, then you can go for the MTech in nanotechnology degree also. MSc in nanotechnology is also a research oriented field, and MSc in nanobiotechnology is also a field, right? So where you can look for your career opportunities. So yes, these fields are can be very good if you have the interest in this particular field. Okay, Kushi. Okay, one more question. Item degree in data science. Okay, like it's a dual degree. Okay, I guess you are ITM. Can you specify a bit? IITM online degree? Okay, online Madras. Okay, okay. I thought it's some. Okay, yes. For the okay, for this particular degree that you're talking about, that about IIT Madras online degree program. So yes, it is a one of the flexible program, right, which is definitely providing it opportunities in this data science, programming, electronic systems, and all. So uh, if you're learning these programs like Python or stats or machine learning databases, AI, or embedded systems, electronics, circuits, and all. So if I say that that these fields are they any way interrelated to the the drug designing and this nanotechnology and all. So why it is going to be very important for the modern drug discovery? Because today in this current field, the drug designing is, it's like no longer only the chemistry based, it has become highly interdisciplinary, right? So all these fields, because for example, if you're studying the biopharma, if you're studying the AI based drug screening, if you're talking about the protein structure predictions, so this is where programming and data science have become very important. It's the core field in modern drug discovery, right? How you're going to target your drug delivery system for the targeted therapies, right? How you can talk about the controlled drug release and all. So that is again the important part of this particular data science and field, right? Coding is very important, AI is very important. Your modern pharma companies, they are using the AI drug screenings, machine learnings, they're using the protein modeling, they're using the virtual simulations. So yes, this field is combination of bioinformatics, AI, data science, biotechnology, and they're become very valuable. So this knowledge will definitely help you in upcoming endeavors also, which you want to go for. Okay, Kushi. Any more questions from any of the participants? Okay, I guess there are no more queries. So even if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can see Dr. Ankita Singh and CRIS DNA Labs. So can get connected, and for the future guidance also, for any like assistant or guidance or anything, you can get connected to me on LinkedIn as well. So thank you so much. I wish you all a very best in your futures. Do good, and hopefully you'll be in your desired fields very soon. Thank you so much. Have a very good evening and wish you all the very best.